we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we needin' wood. Yeah, we going for the sweet, then we mop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up, 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 chop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chopping Block Podcast, presented by DJ's Clam Shack. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. We might even be live on Facebook somehow. Who knows? Facebook's been tripping lately, but this is This Week in College Football show, the show that everybody loves. Might not be as good as Barry's NFL show on Wednesday night, but hey, we do our best. Tonight's lineup, we got Craig, the Auburn Tiger fan, Coach Price, the Georgia Bulldog, the king of dumpster juice himself, our executive producer, Beasta Kane, the number two turned Tony, Dylan Beck himself, and a fan favorite, the Busty Betts man himself, Jared Cole. Tonight, really quick to start the show, fellas, we've got one thing we need to bring up, and that's week 6. What we saw unfold on Saturday was crazy. I'm going to throw it to Craig first because you're at the top. I want you to give a shout out. So something that, you enjoyed watching or you thought was great to see. And then I want you to give your Craig call out. I want you to, whether it's a Texas letdown, whatever it may be, you guys give your spiel, a shout out and a call out from these 6 matchups of last weekend, or 5 matchups there. Tell us what you think, Craig.
Man, my shout outs to the Oklahoma Sooners winning the Red River rivalry, man. That was a big one, right? I mean, come on. Come in there. You felt like the wind was taken out of when that last score, Texas went up. I'm like, well, that game's over. Man, the quarterback stood in there. Gabriel took him right down the field. That was a hell of a drive. That was my standout. I got a little more props for Oklahoma, and I'm not a big Oklahoma Sooner fan. Let's just put it that way. So it does give me some trepidation looking forward and seeing what's going to happen next. We couldn't get Oklahoma and Texas to come to the SEC when they were middle of the pack teams. We got to get them now.
Right.
So it's going to be the same thing. The SEC is just getting to be murderers row all over again. It's the Bush League of the NFL, man. Anybody that says any different just don't know what they're watching. My call out has got to be Stoops in Kentucky just getting curb stomped. I mean, curb stomped. I didn't see. I thought that Georgia might cover, but I figured that UK would go down there and establish that running game because we all know Georgia looked a little suspect up front against Auburn. It's hard to say that. I don't want to say Auburn's got a better running game than Kentucky. I don't think that's right. But, it's Stoops. It's like we said last week. Stoops tries to be Kirby, and he just got out Kirby'd. It's the same thing that happened every week. So that's my call out. This seems to happen every year. Kentucky's looking real good till about week 6, and then they go on Kentucky. Kentucky's going to Kentucky. That's what happens. That's basketball school.
Yep.
Coach Price.
Well, one thing I want to say is I really did enjoy the Red River rivalry. I think that's going to be good for the SEC. So I really did enjoy the matchup between Texas and Oklahoma because it lets you know that we got 2 more powerhouses coming to a powerhouse, conference. And, it doesn't get any better than this, kind of like the words of Pop Soft Friday. I got bit in the ass today, son, by a stinking ass filthy dog. Biggest I've ever seen in my life. And that's what Georgia's defense came Saturday. Finally, the defense took it to another level. We had Kentucky coming in, which was high-powered on offense. And ain't nobody sit here and say that they wasn't. Kentucky could run the ball, but they came in, Georgia shut it down. So what I enjoyed seeing was Georgia's defense finally coming alive. Offense is still consistent, so I really wasn't worried about that. but I really did enjoy seeing the defense start to make a turn. And my takeaway on Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M, he just proved once again, man, that he recruits classes not to win national championships. He recruit classes to try to beat Alabama, and it always backfire on him. If you look at Texas A&M, name me one game that they played where they came out and they actually played as hard as they did against Alabama compared to everybody else. I mean, he's scratching his eyeballs trying to get out of the stadium over Arkansas. So he didn't bring the same game plan. He didn't bring the same intensity. He didn't bring the same nothing to all those other games that he brought to the Alabama game. So once again, Jimbo, you disappoint me because you take a whole lot of recruits that could make a whole lot of teams better to try to get them to focus on one man and one team instead of looking at the overall goal of being a national champion. So I can sit here and say, Jimbo Fisher, you're the one, and Texas A&M is just y'all. I don't like that team. I don't care for Jimbo. I've never cared for Jimbo. I think he's the Muffin Man.
2 turn. What you think?
I'm going to give a shout out to my team, man. I mean, how can I not? I was worried. This was the other team I was worried about. I was worried about Texas, and I was worried about A&M because it's at A&M. I mean, look, the stadium capacity is 105,000. They had 110,000 fans in the stands this weekend. And we were down 7 at halftime. I mean, we were looking sloppy, had negative 13 yards rushing. And the question was, what are you going to be able to do if Alabama can't run the ball? What is Milroe going to be able to do? Man, Milroe took a huge step this week. I mean, the dude threw for 320-something yards, 2 touchdowns. He did make one mistake. He threw an interception. He should have threw that ball hard instead of lobbing it right there. But overall, man, I mean, the dude played great, and he made a beautiful throw to Jermaine Burton for a touchdown. I mean, it was kind of a Bryce Young type throw. It's not something that you expected Milroe to do. And honestly, I mean, I keep seeing all this stuff on Twitter about Jimbo messed up a play call. The game should have been worse than it was, guys. I mean, I've seen the absolute worst illegal blindside block I've ever seen in my life when Alabama blocked that field goal and ran it back for a touchdown. There was nothing vicious about it. Should it have happened? No, the play was way by him, but it was a legal block, man. He shoulder nudged him. Bama should have been up 14. And in that situation, Bama's defense this year is back to elite status at the moment. They would have took the ball away from him again, and the game might have been worse than that. But my call out this week, man, is got to be the Missouri Tigers. Man, you completely pissed the game away. You're up 15 in the first half, and I'm giving LSU's offense credit. LSU's offense is great. Jaden Daniels is calm, cool, and collective at all times. The whole game, you could watch him. He was just chilling. Not one time did he look worried. Did he look antsy? Nothing. But, I mean, Missouri got too cute. They got up 15. They had the ball back before half with a chance to do some more damage. And they got cute and tried to do a little throwback pass over here, and it ended the streak, an interception. And LSU scored right before half to make it a one-possession game. Missouri comes out. They didn't score the first drive of the second half, so it ended up being a dogfight. And I understand Missouri's got Luther Burden, the best receiver in SEC. But outside of that, there wasn't much helping him in the passing game this weekend, and LSU capitalized on it. I feel like that's a game Missouri should have won. I give LSU a lot of credit for fighting back and winning, but that defense is terrible. And unless the offense can't have a bad game, that's where it's at right now. If they have a bad game, LSU's in trouble. And that's what sucks because you got to rely on your offense when you should be able to have a defense to help you out sometimes.
Dylan Beck, what you got to say, my friend?
Yes, sir. For the shout out, I'm going to go to the Red River rivalry again, but I'm going to go the opposite route. I'm going to go with Texas. I'm going to give Texas a shout out because you played about as awful as you could defensively. You lost the turnover battle 3-0, and Oklahoma, I think, was 6 for 6 in the red zone with 6 touchdowns. You can't be more perfect than that. You can't be more efficient than that. It took all of that from Oklahoma to still have to, do a last-minute drive to beat you. Everything's still in front of Texas. They're going to be fine. They're going to get that rematch with Oklahoma. Just win it next time. Don't shoot yourself in the foot like they did. And then a call out. I'm calling out Mark Stoops. Look, I think we've all never said a bad thing about Stoops. We've all said, why is he staying at Kentucky? Why didn't he go to a bigger program? I'm on the other side now with his comments. I'm not calling him out because he got his ass kicked by Kirby. I mean, it is what it is. I'm calling him out. Did y'all see what he said after the game, right? Mm-hmm. Today, I think it was today or yesterday.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, the fans have every right to be mad, but maybe they should donate more. Then I can go out and buy players like Georgia has, and then we can compete. So not only do you call out your fans because, you're essentially saying you're a basketball school, which they are, you're not only, then you're calling out your players. You're saying, well, if I had good money, I'd go out and get better players. Y'all aren't good enough to beat Georgia. Mm-hmm. So I've always been a Mark Stoops guy. Those comments right there, I'm done with them.
Dylan done wash his hands of Coach Stoops.
I'm done.
A week after praising him with everybody else. But hey, that is true, Dylan. The Georgia Bulldogs have had Mark Stoops, still have him. And after those comments, that's tragic.
I'll throw one more stat to bury him 7 feet after I did it 6 feet. Mark Stoops in his 11th season at Kentucky, he has 2 SEC wins over teams that finished positive in their SEC record that year. 2 wins in 11 years versus that.
Yep.
That ain't good enough, my friend. Jared Cole.
Well, I'm gonna throw it to the Red River rivalry, and thank God for them bringing glory back to the 12 o'clock noon slot at the Cotton Bowl. That was fantastic. And shout out to Brett Venables and Oklahoma. They did what they had to do to freaking win that. I told you guys last week they were primed and ready to win this game. And I said it earlier this year, and I truly ate myself on it. I said that Dylan Gabriel might not be the best quarterback on that roster. Arnold doesn't win that game. Dylan Gabriel went out there and played like a dog. His performance reminded me of the same thing Jalen Hurts did in, 2019? I mean, it was just about the same thing. Like Dylan said, 6 for 6 in the red zone. Then they held Texas to 1 of 3 in the red zone, and that was a field goal. So, I mean, Oklahoma did exactly what they had to do. They punched Texas in the mouth over and over and over and over again, and they hit it. Now, I will give a huge amount of credit to the Texas running back. What's his name? Brooks? Is that his last name?
Yeah.
It might be Dylan Brooks. You never know. But that cat, man, if it wasn't for him, Texas might have gotten beat a little worse. Now, like Dylan said, when beating Alabama early in the year pays for that loss right there. Because you get to see Oklahoma again, God willing, everything else goes the way it's supposed to. But that pays for all of that. Right. So huge shout out to Oklahoma. I mean, what a game. I would watch that game right now over again if I had to. Just electrifying. In my call out, I really want to call out Mark Stoops here, but I think Dylan covered it well. So I'm going to call out Jimbo Fisher. Now, granted, just like TJ said, Alabama's defense did take a step this week to where they need to be for what they're using on offense. Granted. But I'm so sick and tired of hearing this about Texas A&M, and I was on their train at the start of the year. I said, Texas A&M is going to be this, Texas A&M is going to be that. No, they're not. They're not. Because people sit there and they're like, oh, my God, they're bragging on Max being the backup quarterback, which he's not a bad quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. But they're like, yeah, man, we didn't lose anything losing Connor Wickman. Yeah, you did. And you have your chance right there to beat your kryptonite in the West, which is Alabama, on the most down year that they've had in God knows how long. And you let their defense step up and knock your teeth out. Then you kind of have a little life right there at the end of the game, and you piss it away. And then let me just say this too. And at halftime, Jimbo Fisher with his hat, like, can somebody get the man a hat, dude? Jesus Christ, you're a $90 million man. Get a freaking hat that fits your head, son. But anyway, no, Texas A&M, and this is all kudos to Alabama. I will say Milroe took a huge step this weekend. But Texas A&M, once again, you have a chance and you fail.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the word failures because we have a man backing up the truck as we speak. I heard he got a new horn. We'll see if we can hear it. But let me tell you, this man is backing up a truck for a fan favorite segment that we think it's so good here at the Chopping Block Podcast. We have to have it on Tuesday night and we got to have it on Wednesday night. So, Coach Price, without further ado, give us your dumpster juice of the week.
Well, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fill this truck up. And we're gonna drive it all the way across to the West Coast. And once we get to the West Coast, we're gonna get to the Coliseum, and I'm gonna back the truck up into the building, and I'm gonna pick up USC's entire defense and your defensive coordinator. Bro, y'all giving up 41 points to Colorado, and you just gave up 41 points to Arizona. What do you think you're going to give up to probably Notre Dame this week? And I know you're going to give up a whole bunch of them to Washington and to Oregon. So this coaching staff, Lincoln Riley, Alex Grinch, you ain't going to steal Christmas, but you better try to find a way to steal something when you go into Notre Dame, because your defense right now in the Coliseum is straight trash. And then I'm going to take the truck and I'm going to drive it to your opponent's stadium. And I'm going to tell you right now, Notre Dame, your game management might be the worst in the nation. I've never seen a coach burn timeouts, which means obviously you don't need them because you're throwing them away because you treat them like trash, because either the play clock gets down on you on offense or you can't get your guys lined up on defense and you're burning timeouts. And guess what happens in the ball game when you actually need a timeout, coach? You don't have one. So I'm going to take whatever game management that y'all put together every week, I'm going to sneak in your office and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wad it all up and I'm going to put it in a bag, because Notre Dame, your management is straight trash. Now, let's take it to the final destination where we got calm seas and palm trees. Now, I know everybody's saying, Coach, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, look, if you make more money than I do, which means you're getting paid like an NFL player, then you should be able to take criticism like an NFL player. And Donald Chaney Jr., the Miami running back, you had one job to do, man. Secure the ball. But you didn't do it. So you know what I would say? In the NFL, your stock just went, because now they know that you can't do what? Protect the ball. So ball security is at a minimum. So sorry, Mr. Chaney, you're straight trash. But I'm not going to put it all on you. You got a head coach, Mr. Mario Cristobal, who should have looked into a crystal ball, and I'm sure it would have said, hey, dummy, if you go forward and decide to run the ball when you could get in victory formation, take a knee and win the ball game, but you want to go ahead and run it, you deserve to be fired. I guarantee you that's in every crystal ball all across the nation. And not only did you do it, you did it to Georgia Tech. We're talking about a team, the Yellow Jackets, the little honeybees with no stingers. So Mario Cristobal, Donald Chaney Jr., and the Miami Hurricanes, for that stupid, idiotic call that y'all made instead of taking a knee when you could even did a Mark Sanchez butt tackle, you boys are straight trash.
And what's even worse, Coach, is St. Mario Cristobal's first time. He's done this before at Oregon. Ran the ball when he should have been taking a knee. They fumbled and lost. This is the second time. How many times do you have to have this happen to learn?
Obviously, he can't learn because, I mean, dude, it's just stupid. There's one formation that every coach and every player that plays football love. When you're in victory formation, dog, that means game over. I mean, I'm literally It's a reason why in victory formation you got one player that's 15 yards behind everybody at the line of scrimmage. He's the one trying to find all the chicks in the stands to say, "Hey, the party's over here tonight." He's recruiting.
Hey,
That's victory.
I got a question about this, and I need to talk about this because not only, yes, we know Mario Cristobal has done this before. Now, here's my question: if you're the quarterback, the running back, the OC, the towel boy, the water boy, the Mario Cristobal's mom or dad, anybody else in that freaking stadium, how does anybody else right there not grab him and go, or grab the quarterback or grab whoever and go, just knee the football? I mean, like, I understand he is the head coach with the final, big. How does nobody just go, coach? Because it's like we just said, I don't care if you're the 85 Bears. You can't guard the victory formation. That's it. The game over. So why is nobody else on that roster, the quarterback, anybody else, just like, no, man, no. We're kneeing this ball.
100%. If you looked at the probability of Georgia Tech to win that game before that final snap, it was 0.00000001. A $1 bet on Georgia Tech winning that game at that point probably wins you $5,000.
Hey, here's what I'll say before we move on to our Heisman Power Rankings, which is going to be very interesting for some of you fellas. But the one thing I'll say on this game and this whole situation, I don't think people's even dumbing it down for this. If the Miami Hurricanes get a delay of game, it's third down. You snap the ball, and the game is still over in victory formation. So I also put the blame on the assistant coach. Run out on the field. Like, throw a water bottle out on the field because you know how wrong of a call it is.
Yes.
Like, you had a chance. A player could have ran out on the field and tackled the official. Somebody on the team had the chance, and that's the reason Miami can't be undefeated. They probably never will be, and they ruined it on Saturday night against Georgia Tech, and that's laughable.
They had a timeout.
They had a timeout as well. That's what I was talking to Barry in the pregame. You have a chance, multiple chances, to stop the play, and it don't hurt you, and then it's just a kneel down, and it's over.
Uh-huh.
They deserve to lose the game. They deserve not to be undefeated. And I'll be honest with you, I hope the whole ship starts going down after that because they deserve it too. But let's talk about some deserving people when we go to the Heisman Power Rankings. And, when you guys saw this earlier, you said, what about so-and-so? Okay. Well, this is your opportunity, fellas. This is a poll. Don't argue with the host, Steve Dalton. Argue with the poll. Okay, so number one, after a fantastic showing in the Red River rivalry, Dylan Gabriel, the flying Hawaiian, another lefty Hawaiian, looked unbelievable and conquered the Longhorns. Number two, if this man had a defense, it'd probably be a runaway for the Heisman because he'd be undefeated as a football team. Jaden Daniels has looked unreal. Number three, Caleb Williams. You could argue he's number one until proven otherwise. He's undefeated again and the reigning defending Heisman Trophy winner. Number four, Michael Penix Jr. This kid has been unreal, leads just about all categories in quarterbacks. You can make a case for him being number one. The poll says he's number 4 this week. And number 5, a newcomer into this list, Shedeur Sanders, in the top 5 in passing yards in the country, has led this incredible story that Colorado is. But Craig, start us off at the top. What do you have to say about this Heisman Power Rankings? Are you agreeing? Are you disagreeing? Why? And then let's throw it to Coach Price. Go ahead, Craig.
Muted.
Yep, got all the props in the world for Dylan Gabriel, but he don't need to be one. I'm looking at the same thing when we talked about power rankings. I got a 1A and a 1B. It's still Penix, and I think Bo Nix is still in there stat-wise, right? I mean, that's going to be the head-to-head matchup. We're going to see what it comes out this week. Interesting stat, and this is why I rank Michael Penix higher than everybody else. He's still my number 1. You know that dude's only been sacked one time this year?
Jeez.
Once. That's an interesting stat, which tells me one thing. I don't care how damn good you are. You got a good offensive line if you've been sacked one time and you're passing for 5,000 yards a year. So he's got that leads me to believe, again, I'm an offensive lineman at heart. I always was. That's what I played. I think they're the best looking, most athletic guys on the football team. But I think the O-line, if you got a good dominant O-line, and let's just keep it real. I mean, it doesn't always go to the best athlete. I mean, I can't think of a time when it has actually in the last decade. If you want to just get right down to the brass tacks of it, it's all about them stats. So if you've been sacked one time and it's week 7, that tells me you're going to have a lot more chances to throw it. And God, you can't take anything away from that kid's arm talent. So I'm still going strong with Michael Penix Jr. all the way. Again, unless he just goes and lays an egg against Oregon, but Oregon don't have a defense either. So that's going to be a shootout. That's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm looking forward to that game. We'll talk about that later. But that's my number one. I got Shedeur down there kind of as a dark horse like you with everybody else. He's still he's a year out. I think he's going to keep that NIL money. He'll be back next year. I think that'll be his Heisman campaign. Is going to be next year. We'll start hearing about that way before the season starts. Prime will have him ready. Yep. It's a beauty contest, and I think Prime knows how to shine up the Louis Vuitton. So we'll see. But yeah, I still got Penix, man. He's my number one.
All right, Coach Price. No dumpster juice here, but we'll have some good stuff from you, I'm sure.
Well, Gabriel, I can honestly say right now I do look at him as the front runner. I mean, Williams and Penix, neither one of them played Saturday, so putting them at 3 and 4, that's respectable. They didn't do anything at all over the past weekend. But, the kids got over 1,800 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's like third in QBR. He beat, Texas, who beat Alabama, who is easily the front runner in the SEC West. So, it's not like he doesn't have anything, to put on a resume, of why he shouldn't be able to win, the Heisman Trophy. As far as Jaden Daniels go, in order for him to really win the Heisman, to me, no matter where they put him on this board, is he's going to have to beat Alabama. That's the bottom line. He's going to have to beat Alabama. We already know LSU is out of it. We know they don't have a shot at winning the national championship. But what can they do? They can actually knock Alabama out of an SEC championship appearance. So what would cause that? Jaden Daniels would have to have a very big game, and he would have to beat Alabama. Now, he doesn't have to go out there and throw for 375 yards. He doesn't have to have 4 or 5 touchdowns, but he's got to beat Alabama. That's the biggest thing he'll be able to have on his resume, going for the Heisman, is that one ball game come November the 4th. As for Shedeur Sanders, he's in a dark horse position. And he's a newcomer, just like somebody else was in that slot last week. That's going to be the slot that's always going to be in and out. Don't look for it to be 5 quarterbacks in the Heisman running. Somewhere along the line, you're going to slip a wide receiver, a running back, or some other player in there. So I don't see Shedeur Sanders actually being one of the Heisman guys. I'm still sticking to my guns on it. Hadn't been done since 1949. But at 5, I would actually have Brock Bowers. But right now, Dylan Gabriel has proved right now that he's the front runner for the Heisman.
All right. Very interesting, Coach. And let's be honest, Coach, like you said, Jaden Daniels beats Alabama. He not only knocks them out, but LSU's in.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
They're in the
SEC championship. Mm-hmm.
So it is, some things could happen to make Jaden Daniels be the front runner, but we got a lot of football left. Dylan Brooks Beck, what do you got to say?
Yeah, the Heisman is what it is. It's the quarterback with the best stats on the best team. So right now you can't really say what these teams' records are going to be, so you don't know where these guys are going to finish. They're all going to have the stats to win the Heisman. It just depends on team success to me. So I don't mind the list. I'm with Coach JP. I think it's just going to be there's going to be talk of like, man, at the end of the year when they're voting on it, we got all these quarterbacks. I think it would be fun to get a tight end in here. I think that's why Brock is going to get the invite, other than being, the best tight end we've seen in 15, 20 years, and he's going to have really good stats. But I think he ends up getting an invite at the end of the year. But yeah, man, it's who's going to have the most success, team wise out of all these quarterbacks with the great stats. That's who's going to win it.
Can't disagree. 2. Tony.
We're going to shake up this whole thing right here because this is a big old pile of baloney. I'm going to agree with Dylan Gabriel being in it, but the number one's Michael Penix Jr. I mean, the guy's been lights out all year. If he wins this weekend, he separates himself even more. I know Caleb Williams won the Heisman last year, but, I mean, has anyone stayed up and watched these 10 o'clock games? Because I did. And the guy had 3 completions in the first half until the last second of the half where he got lucky and incomplete pass was ruled a touchdown pass. The ball rolled across the ground. Somehow it was viewed and upheld. I guess the people in the booth were tired because it was midnight. Dude, you're beating Arizona by 2. It should have never been that place. At the end of the day, I understand the Heisman at some point was the best player, but it's not anymore. It's the best player on the best team because at the end of the day, if you're the best player, you should be able to elevate your team better than that. And I know he's not his fault on defense, but he can control completing 3 freaking passes when they line up with 6 receivers spread out the whole first half. Back to Jaden Daniels. I keep hearing y'all say if they beat Alabama, Alabama's out of it. Yes, he has to beat Alabama. But you also realize LSU can't lose another SEC game on top of that, right? You can beat Alabama, but if they lose, Alabama's still in. And LSU, they still got Auburn, which is at LSU at night, so that's a huge task for Auburn. Auburn has a defense. They got Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They play Florida, and then they finish the season off with A&M. They struggle with 3 of those teams nearly every year, and they will again. Jaden Daniels is great and all, but like I said, I don't think that he should be in the running for the Heisman right now. Now, like I said, if he wins out, gets the SEC championship, I agree, yes. But you got to have the guys that are getting it done right now. Why are we talking about Jaden Daniels and not the guy who beat him head-to-head for the Heisman rankings? Why are we not talking about Jackson Dart, the guy who's thrown for 1,600 yards, 16 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a QBR of almost 180? Why is he not in it? He outplayed Jaden Daniels head-to-head. Both of their defenses are terrible. Jackson Dart was on Jaden Daniels' head the whole game. Why is he not in these Heisman rankings? Why is Drake May not in the Heisman rankings after throwing for 440 yards with my weenie dog as his weapon at receiver? He just now got a guy back, and Tez, I can't remember. I think it's Walker.
Yep.
He's finally eligible, so he's actually got a weapon. Hopefully, he plays this weekend against Miami. So I think Jackson Dart should be a dark horse in his Heisman, not Shedeur Sanders. Because look, man, let's be completely transparent. Colorado at max wins 2 out of their next 6 games. They win Friday night against Stanford. They possibly beat UCLA, but I wouldn't write that in as a W because UCLA's got the best defense in the Pac-12. They just got a true freshman at quarterback, so that gives Colorado the lean. But they're not winning the rest of those games against Oregon State, Utah, and Oregon team. Or not Oregon, sorry. Those teams like that, they're losing out after that. So I'm not putting a 6-6 guy in the Heisman. Brock Bowers should be the number 2 guy on this list behind Michael Penix Jr. He's the best tight end in the country, and by the end of the season, he's arguably the greatest tight end to ever play college football. So I don't know why we're not having the guys whose teams are winning right now. I don't care about the hype at the moment. If you're not winning, where was Case Keenum at in the Heisman rankings when he was throwing for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns every year? You didn't see Case Keenum from the University of Houston in the damn Heisman rankings, did you?
Nope.
But we got Shedeur Sanders and Jaden Daniels, who got 2 losses before October 12th, and we got them up here in the top 5. It's a joke, man. Be real about it.
Well, 2 term, like we said, argue with the poll. You did that well. But let me ask you a question, just really quick. Who was the last 4 national champion? Georgia twice.
LSU.
Alabama.
All right. You said the Heisman is the best player on the best team. Nobody from Georgia won it the last 2 years.
I said usually. The more like it. That's because the only reason but you got to look at it. Stetson Bennett got invited just because he was on that team. Stetson Bennett didn't deserve to be in New York. The dude had 22 passing touchdowns and 2,200 yards. Hold on. Hold on. He had 2,500 yards going into that Heisman ceremony. Yes, he played great in the playoffs, and threw like 7 or 8 more touchdowns. But going into the Heisman, he didn't deserve to be there. When have we ever seen a quarterback with under 30 touchdown passes in New York on the last week?
So with that being said, that's exactly the point I'm making. You turned the Heisman Award from the best player in college football to quarterbacks.
Yes. Outside of Devonta Smith.
Oh, well, yeah, duh. That man, I'll jump into. Oh, yeah, that's all this award is. By the best team, I think everybody means by probably if you're in the top 5 at the end of the year and you got a quarterback like that, he's probably gonna be in New York. But there's only 3 people in the country right now that I even validate as a Heisman contender, and one of them's not even on this list. We got Michael Penix, Dylan Gabriel, and Brock Bowers. That's it. Dylan Gabriel's playing his balls off, and the only reason he's in it is because he just had a huge win. I mean, Michael Penix up to now, I mean, the guy throws for 1,000,000 yards every Saturday. You know, God bless everybody on this list. He didn't play this past Saturday. So, you know, he couldn't get to 4 million yards this weekend. But, I mean, Dylan Gabriel is going to stay there because, I mean, the Big 12 at this point is – so other than Texas, and they're going to see them again. So, I mean, unless the rails fall off, Oklahoma's going to stay a top 5 team the rest of the year. The AP's not going to take them out if they keep winning, you know. But, you know, Michael Penix, and, you know, like TJ said, if Michael Penix goes out there this Saturday and balls out, dude, you might as well dang near hand him the trophy at this point. I mean, he's got it going on. And Brock Bowers, name me a podcast, name me a college football highlight video that he's not on. He's on every single one. If Georgia doesn't have him right now, holy crap, man, we you know, code red. But when you got 19 on your team, it's a whole different. So, but I hate it that he's not even really being talked about. I mean, everybody's like, oh, he's the best player in the country, but he's not on the Heisman list. That kind of defeats the purpose for me. But yeah, Shedeur and Caleb Williams, dude, watching USC is like watching somebody almost drowned. You're like, oh, they're going under for the oh no, here they are. Yeah. Oh, there's the last bubble. Oh no, they're back. Yeah, it's terrible. And Shedeur, man, he's thrown the ball. I think what does he have, like 60 more attempts than the next guy?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Colorado is what it is. Shedeur's playing well. I'm not to take away from that. But yeah, I mean, there's 3 guys there. And that's really it. I mean, it's week 7. I get it. There's still some big games left. But yeah, man, there's 3 guys there, man. That's it.
Oh, yeah, and one more thing real quick, back to – because I forgot with everybody saying stuff about, you know, LSU, if they beat Alabama, they're in. No, they're not. Ole Miss has the head-to-head. You also have to hope Ole Miss drops a game. So Ole Miss has to drop a game. You have to beat Alabama, and you have to hope you win out. So it's a whole lot harder road than people are making it out to be for LSU.
And if he can pull that off, he's the best player.
So first off, I just want to say, Jared Cole, that might be the best thing I have ever heard in my life. I need to get that printed on a T-shirt. Number 2, TJ, if that is the case, wouldn't that mean that there is a 3-way tie for first place?
It would depend. It depends on
all teams would have 1 loss, correct?
Well, that's if Alabama wins out. Look, man, Alabama. Let's be real about it. Look, yeah, I'm very confident after what just happened, but this weekend, in my opinion, is a harder matchup for our offense than A&M was, because I think Arkansas's linebackers are way better than A&M's. I mean, Arkansas's pass defense is awful, but we don't have a great passing quarterback. He's developing, but he's not elite. If he plays like he did this week, then I'm perfectly fine. We're going to beat Arkansas by the 20 points we're favored. But if I'm betting, I'm taking Arkansas plus 20 all day long. I think Alabama wins, but it's close. But we also got to play at Kentucky. I don't think we lose a game. We got to play at Auburn, and then we got LSU at home. So, I mean, there's Bama has 1 game left on their schedule that's an automatic win, and that's against University of Chattanooga before Auburn. The rest of the games, there's not a guaranteed win for Alabama. So, if Alabama loses 2 games, which is possible, they could lose 2 more, and Ole Miss doesn't drop a game, Ole Miss is in the SEC championship. And
so I got a question. Before we go to the next segment, I want to ask this. because I don't know if this has ever happened, and if it has, enlighten me. If there is a 3-way tie, what is the tiebreakers? Let's say it is a Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss. Who goes to Atlanta? What
I
is
have
the
no
rule?
idea.
You got to play a 3-way game on a baseball field.
Hey, it'll be like that one year in high school. You remember where they had the 3-way tie and they played the play-in game. Coach Price at Pepperell.
Mm-hmm.
They did the first. They did a half a game with 3 teams.
With 3
Yeah.
teams.
And didn't they flip the coin to see who had home or something? Right? It was something weird.
Hey,
At the end of it.
they flipped the coin in Friday Night Lights, baby.
That's right. But hey, I've never seen a 3-sided coin. So
What they
we
saying,
might be in
what,
trouble.
what I'm seeing right here, it says that in the event of a 3-way tie, the one-loss records of the tied teams against each other is first considered, and then it says if the teams are still tied, then each team's record against the highest seeded team not involved in the tie is considered.
Oh, that'll be
So
Alabama.
it's who's got the best win
Alabama will get that easily.
because they got the best win over A&M.
They got the best schedule, like I said, yeah. And then
Well, would LSU? Well,
if they beat A&M, but they also lost to Ole Miss.
That's why
if they all
the
beat
Florida
A&M?
State game was that big. That's
Mhm.
why the Florida State game was that big. People, and that was the whole deal. Everybody was like, "Oh, LSU, they're okay for the rest of the season." Yeah, they're okay if they win out. That was the whole spiel about it. That's why the same thing about Texas beating Alabama. You bought yourself a loss. LSU losing that game, you lost yourself that.
I'm gonna be real. Texas A&M beat LSU last year when LSU had all the momentum in the world. They knew they were going to the SEC championship, and they still dropped it. And that was Texas A&M's worst team they've had since Jimbo's been there. Man, Milroe only escaped and was able to run like one time. Daniels is slippery, but that front seven at A&M, if he tries to run, he's going to hurt, man. He's already taken a beating. He's going to have to throw the ball, get it out quick, and kill them down the field to beat A&M that last game. And if they beat Alabama, obviously they have the momentum. But if they lose to Alabama, they're losing that game to A&M also.
Man, every time Jaden Daniels gets hit, I'm waiting for coins to fly out like Sonic. Dude, he gets smashed every game.
Clobbered, dude. It's not like he gets absolutely clobbered. Yeah. And we know he's injury prone. I mean, he's gotten hurt several times in his career, and it's usually his ankle. I'm just glad he hadn't rolled his ankle out 3 weeks yet.
Well, hey, let's move forward to something that is, I guess, the most current thing and the most important thing in this show. The Week 7 talking points. Obviously, at the top here, we've got Washington and Oregon. I mean, this is one of the top games of the year. Definitely the best game, it would seem, in the Pac-12. We've got Miami, who should be undefeated, but they squandered that, as we discussed earlier, versus North Carolina and Drake May, that you've been talking about, Tony. Notre Dame and USC, a classic matchup that dates back who knows how long. And it should be a good one. It's unfortunate in Notre Dame's time management that we've talked about, Coach discussed earlier. Missouri and Kentucky. This, I think coming off of last week, this is a very important game for both teams, coming off 2 losses or a loss, for each of them. This game means a lot, especially for the SEC East. The winner, I guess somehow has a chance, not realistically, but the loser's out of the SEC East. UCLA and Oregon State, the second best matchup of the Pac-12 weekend. And, we talked pretty poorly about DJ. I like to call him ukulele because that's what they play out in Hawaii. But, he showed out a couple weeks ago, and Dylan called it. He was the only one on the podcast that night that spoke about it. So that's going to be a great matchup. And then Texas A&M and Tennessee. Realistically, there's no way Tennessee gets to Atlanta without winning this game. They got to win this game, beat Georgia as well. And then this is really a pride game for A&M. Do you lay down and just say it's over, or do you come out Saturday and try to compete against, Tennessee? I'm going to let you guys give me 2 things, 1 or 2. I want to know, what is the most intriguing matchup of the weekend? What are you looking forward to? And then the second thing, I want a player of the week from week 7. Go ahead, Craig.
Man, what I'm watching out for, and I think everybody's going to enjoy this game, that Washington Oregon game is going to be on fire.
Yep.
That's going to be a fun one to watch. I mean, that's like two Lamborghinis racing, right? Them two offenses on the field. There ain't no way I could sit here and dissect some defensive stuff for you and tell you who ranks highest. I don't care who it is. They're going to get some offense. I think it comes down to statistically red zone scoring defense. Who's got the better red zone scoring defense? And that's Oregon by a long shot. Oregon, which is still not great, don't get me wrong, but Oregon's ranked, I think, 49th, and Washington's ranked 89th. So they can't stop them when they get inside the 20. I think Oregon, I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. I think it's going to be a duel between Penix and Bo. I think Oregon has a few more toys in the toy shop, and I think their defense is just a little bit better. And it's in Oregon. And the small spread games like that, I like to pick the home team. So that was going to be fun to watch. But that's what I'm watching for. Whoever can – and it might just be 1 or 2 defensive stands, and that's it, especially with these new clock rules. I mean, I don't know if y'all been watching these games this year. These games seem like they're over within an hour. It's crazy. I'm not a big fan, man. I like to sit there and get a couple beers in me. I don't like to have to rush through 1 or 2 before halftime. I mean, it's like you flip the game on, it's over with. It's going into halftime in 25 minutes. I don't like that. My next kind of thing to watch is the A&M Texas game or A&M Tennessee game. I got UT winning in Knoxville in that one for the simple reason, like you said, it's a pride thing for A&M at this point, and A&M ain't got no pride. Their head coach don't either. That's the only route that UT has to possibly win out. And they got to beat Georgia, which that's a whole nother mountain to climb. But this is the mountain they got to climb right now. If this is an A&M, I would have a different ball game on that one. But I think that they pull it off at home. Those are my 2 big takeaways, man. I saw UCLA play Auburn game. I'm one of those morons that stayed up till 3 in the morning to watch it. UCLA looks awful, so I think the Beavers are going to take them. UK Missouri, that's going to be a fun one too, and Notre Dame and USC. But my 2 big ones are Oregon and Washington. I think Oregon nudges them out just by maybe 1 or 2 red zone stops that lead to field goals, which are touchdowns. And I think Tennessee comes out and shows out a little bit because they're playing for something, and A&M's really not anymore. We all saw what happened last year. I mean, A&M got beat by Auburn being coached by Cornell Williams. Come on, man. That don't happen. That should never happen. So, yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got, Dalton.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Craig. If there's one car in luxury automobiles that I would choose, it is that they're a Cadillac. But, Coach Price, what you got?
Well, Washington and Oregon, it's always going to be a game to watch right now just because of all the implications on it. You're in the same conference. You're both undefeated. And you both got 2 potential Heisman candidates. So, of course, that's going to be a good game to watch. But as far as interesting, I'm looking at the Notre Dame SC game. Main reason why is because Notre Dame, you need to really bounce back and try to get something positive going for yourself. This is actually a game that Notre Dame, you really have to win it if you're looking at playing in any type of major college bowl game at the end of the year. So it's important that you go out and try to beat USC because that's your only chance of being in a bowl game that's really going to mean something. That ain't going to be something early that half of us will be at work or even cooking a Christmas dinner and ain't even watching. So that's my first game. My second game is actually Miami and North Carolina.
Dang it, Coach.
I love you, Jared. Because I'm gonna let you put all the talking points on it. It's just my second one. I'm gonna let you take the show on that one because
you got it, man.
All I can say is Miami, Cristobal, y'all are just straight trash.
Hey, before I throw it to Dylan Beck, I wanted to get my only week 7 talking points because I want to give you fellas the floor. But let's just cut to the chase because I don't think anybody's going to touch on this. If you're USC and you lose this football game to a struggling Notre Dame,
you're out.
you might as well just shit in your Easter basket. Because let me tell you, the season's over, your life's over. You don't have any eggs to enjoy, pop open, and see the candy, the fruit of the earth, see the chocolate. Just nothing but shit in your Easter basket. Okay. That's my talking point in week 7. Dylan, you have the floor.
Yeah, Washington, Oregon, it's playoff implications. The winner of this game is in control of everything. I think Washington's a -3 favorite. It's a tough game to pick, man. You got 2 quarterbacks playing at an elite level right now. So to me, I'm going to have to go with the defensive side of the ball, and they're both good. Oregon's numbers are just slightly better. If you look at the stop rate, Oregon is 15th in the country and Washington's 27th. Man, I'm probably going to flip back and forth before Saturday, but right now I have Oregon. I have Oregon winning that game in a shootout. You're probably looking at 45-42. And then the other game I'm looking at is Notre Dame SC as well. It's a classic finesse versus power. Notre Dame's going to try to run down their throat and control the clock, and especially with the new accelerated clock, they're going to try to limit the possessions. And SC's going to, I think their whole game plan is here, let Notre Dame score quick so we can get the ball and score too. So, but I don't think it happens. I texted Jerry before this because I was kind of surprised. I was like, is Notre Dame really favored to win this game? And they are. They're a 3-point favorite. And the more I look at it, the more I agree. Like, they're going to exploit this new clock rule, and they're going to limit SC to 6-7 possessions in the game, and they're going to beat them. And with that being said, that means my player of the week is Audric Estime, the running back from Notre Dame. He's going to run for 300.
Hey, and Dylan, I'm glad you brought him up because the poll left him out of this week's Heisman rankings. He has the most yards of any running back in the country. So I'm glad you brought him up. That's pretty good. 2 turn. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to run through most of them real quick, and then I'm going to say the 2. Washington, Oregon, like Coach and everybody else is saying, obviously that's the most intriguing game just because they're 2 unbeaten, 2 great quarterbacks. This is one of them games you go with the home team. It's in Seattle, Washington. Me and you've been to a game, cuz their fans they're pretty loud, and they're the Huskies and the Wolves, whatever. I don't know what they got going on there, or the Dogs. Sorry, the Huskies and the Dogs for Wolves. But I got Washington doing that. I think North Carolina handles Miami easily. I'm kind of stuck between picking Missouri and Oklahoma and A&M and Tennessee, but I'm gonna say my first intriguing game, like the most, is A&M and Tennessee because I think Missouri beats Kentucky. But A&M Tennessee is huge for both of these teams. For one, if Tennessee wants any chance at all of winning the East, which in my opinion they have none, but if they want any chance, they have to win this game, 1,000%. We've seen the weakness. I think it's number 26, Dylan, or number 28 for A&M, the DB that Jermaine cooked all game.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, whatever number he is, we've seen that weakness in A&M's defense, and we all know Joe Milton ain't got nothing but a deep ball. So if they let them vertical routes fly, Joe Milton will kill them. If you keep everything in front of you and let that front 7 go to work, Joe Milton will play awful. He will turn the ball over 2 to 3 times, and you will win by double digits. But also, Max Johnson has to play better. Max Johnson was rattled last game, guys. He started off hot, and then he got hit in the chin a few times, and he got rattled. When they got that interception, then the very next play he threw an interception, he was scared to death when he threw that ball. If he keeps level-headed and plays good, like I said, to play off his defense, they got to get Aniyah Smith the ball. That's the game changer in here. Special teams, he's a stud. Apparently, every time he fumbles the ball, he picks it up and runs it for 70 yards because he did it against Arkansas. He did it against Bama. They got to get him the ball more on offense. I think we did a really good job of stopping him, but if they can get the ball to him out in space, and let him run, that's really hard for Tennessee to stop. Because Tennessee's also got a great pass rush. That's a lot of people are ignoring that because, it's Tennessee. Let's be honest. But that's my first one, and I'm with everybody on USC Notre Dame. And I'm going to go a different route, guys. So with Notre Dame, what intrigues me the most is whoever made this schedule should be fired, man. Notre Dame needs a bye week, and they need it now. They needed it yesterday, last week. Man, they have had a tough little back-to-back 3-game sled. I mean, they had Ohio State, and then they had Duke, and then they had Louisville. And I don't think Louisville's a great team. I just think they were more physical than Notre Dame. And that's the thing. I watched Josh Pate a lot, and he actually called the Louisville game to a T, what was going to happen. And he said this was why. If Notre Dame was fully healthy, I think they win this game with ease. And, you know, that's what's hard for me to judge this game because they're beat up. And even though USC is terrible on defense, I don't know what Notre Dame has on defense. Yeah, they did decent against Ohio State, but my God, they let Jack Plummer beat them. I mean, they couldn't stop the run against them. And look, I watched the USC game. I don't know who that little Tavon Austin wannabe running back is they got. That son of a gun has wheels. I don't know what his name is, but if that kid gets the ball and he gets past the first level, good luck. So if Notre Dame can't stop the run and Caleb Williams gets going, it's going to get ugly for them. My heart says Notre Dame, but my head says USC for some reason. And I hate that. I can't stand USC. I can't stand Lincoln Riley with a passion. I think he's the most overrated coach in college football over Ryan Day. Like that, Barry.
89.999.
But Oregon State kills UCLA, in my opinion. UCLA just don't have the offense.
Hey, before I throw it to Jared Cole to wrap this segment up, Barry, let's be honest. He might be 0.90001 at this point because we mentioned that a couple episodes ago, and he's got 2 more wins. So
Absolutely.
we might have to adjust the average on that one.
Exactly.
But Jared Cole, what you got?
Oregon and Washington's no duh the first game. They gave them the 2 and the it's 3. It's Washington -3 only because Washington's at home. I mean, this is a straight down the middle game. I just think Michael Penix and the horses just run. I know Oregon's got a better defense, man, but it's tough to go out there every 5 minutes and run with the horses over and over and over and over again. And that catch, he's going to do what he's done all year. Bo Nix and Oregon's offense, if they can come out and just nickel and diamond all day, yeah, they'll be fine. But I just at home, this is a playoff implication game, like Dylan said, and I just think Washington get it done. I don't think Oregon's got the firepower to get into this shootout if they really have to. Yeah, I just don't. I don't really see that, especially when you go to Washington. Michael Penix is going to be the Heisman man this weekend. No doubt about it, in my opinion. My other intriguing game is Carolina-Miami. Carolina-Miami. If Carolina wins this game, do y'all know they'll be a top 10 team?
Mm-hmm.
They will be an undefeated top 10 team getting their players back right now. And they're not going to play Florida State, and they're not going to play Louisville. Florida State, North Carolina, and Louisville, none of them play each other. So there's another 3-way tie we could be looking at right there. What if they're all undefeated at the end of the year? But this is a huge moment for Carolina to kind of just stomp their foot in the ground. They got two easier games coming up the next 2 weeks. Then they've got Duke and Clemson right there at the end of the year. So if they can finish on a high note right there at the end of the year, I mean, man, that's you could be looking, if they win out like that, you could be looking at a top 6 team right there. Drake May could have his Heisman run right here at the end of the year. I mean, and just blow it out of the water. So I'm really looking for that. I'm really looking for is Miami deflated after that whole thing? I mean, if I was a player, I would be. I'd be madder than hell. But anyway, other intriguing thing, the A&M Tennessee game, I could give a crap who wins. I think that's a crapshoot anyway. But does Texas A&M come out just because if they do and they continue to do that, if they think that they're out of the whole thing and whatnot, I mean, that could be a nail in the coffin for Jimbo. I know people are like, oh, they can't fight. Man, if you start going out there and there's nothing worse than there's only one thing worse than watching your team lose. That's watching them not even try and lose. So if you go out there and do that, you're telling me these big boys out at A&M aren't like, look, we're done. We're done with this. This is it. Absolutely done. I am with TJ 110% on this Notre Dame USC game. My heart tells me Notre Dame all day long and twice on Sunday, but my head just tells me Caleb Williams is going to find a way when he's drowning in the 14th overtime at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's going to throw a touchdown pass and win. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't know how they keep doing this, but I can't even watch it at this point. If I talk about Missouri on this podcast, we're probably going to have to cut it off because I'm going to say a lot of really bad things. I can't stand that guy. Whatever. They're going to beat Kentucky anyway. And it's UCLA, Oregon State. Who gives a crap? But, yeah, Carolina-Miami is the game to watch for the weekend along with Washington and Oregon.
Yeah, Jared, you mentioned A&M and Tennessee being a crapshoot. That's one of those games that you look at your significant other and you say, hey, babe, let's go get something for lunch.
Yes.
There ain't nothing on TV. Let's go get some barbecue and enjoy ourselves for a couple. Or, your buddy looks at you and says, hey, coach, let's go get some of them Colorado Kool-Aids and throw some cornhole. Because there ain't nothing but a bunch of shitters on TV at the moment. That's how I look at it, too. And we'll see if anybody actually tunes into that game. We might have to have the game analysis pulled up for us to give some sort of feedback on it next week. But, hey, fellas, time to put your marbles in the playing field. It's the college football pick'em. And some of you guys always break the rules. The slide before the last slide, you're not supposed to tell me who wins. And you keep failing. So now you got to make an even better point right here. So I'm going to start it off myself here. I am going to go Tennessee over A&M. I don't think A&M has anything to play for. Tennessee wins. LSU and Auburn. We did not discuss this matchup on tonight's show, but it's make it or break it for LSU. I don't think Auburn's quite there yet. LSU, Jaden Daniels will get it done, and it might be late. Number 3, USC versus Notre Dame. Like I said, if USC loses this game, might as well shit in their Easter basket. USC will win this game. They get it done over Notre Dame, who will finally fall out of the top 25. UNC versus Miami. Miami, after what you did last week, you've disgraced the city of Miami, which really not that great anyway. So it's even worse what you've done. So North Carolina going to win by 21 plus. This is the Heisman moment, and it might get him in the poll next week for Drake May. And number 5, the game of the week on the Chop and Block podcast. This one is the hardest game for me of the year to pick. And I think it's because of everything you guys mentioned, the red zone defenses, the offenses on both sides. I'm going to tell you right now, this will be the time that next week on Tuesday night, we will be discussing Bo Nix, like Craig said. Oregon will win, and not only will they will win by 14 or more. Oregon Ducks will be victorious. Craig, I hope you can top that. Go ahead.
Man, that's a bold statement there, Dalton. I'll try.
Yeah.
I got Tennessee against A&M for the same reasons you talked about, man. Tennessee's got still have some goals they're shooting for. A&M is kind of stuck in the doldrums like they were last year. The Fighting Jimbo Fishers will lay down when they get punched in the mouth. We've seen that. Number 2, LSU versus Auburn. This was a little interesting to me because obviously I'm an Auburn fan. Had a bye week to get healthy. A lot of people don't realize, because you're not Auburn fans, that the defense is really, really pretty good. And they've been dealing with injuries. Auburn's defense got healthy. It wouldn't surprise me if offensively we come out and start running that same stuff against Georgia. We'll be running the triple option again or whatever it takes. Auburn's still lacking at skilled on the outside. You can talk about the quarterback all day long. And he's not looked good, don't get me wrong. But the stat in the Georgia game, I want to say 6 of his 9 incompletions were just straight up drops. You can't beat Georgia when you have drops like that. You can't beat anybody in the SEC when you're just dropping passes. I think LSU's going to be on the struggle bus a little bit. The spread's 11. I would take Auburn the points, but if we're going heads up, which is what we are, I got to bet against my Tigers and go with the Tigers and say LSU. I would my on a side note, if this game was a 2:30 CBS game or the 11 a.m. game in Baton Rouge, I would pick differently. But 6 p.m. game, them Cajuns would be drinking starting about 4:30 a.m. So if you can catch them in the first 10, 12 hours, you got a shot. But if you let them drink for a good 16 hours, that place is going to be rowdy tomorrow. Or Saturday. So I've got LSU. Everybody keeps talking about this USC Notre Dame game. Everybody forgets Touchdown Jesus is going to be in the house. So I'm going Notre Dame in that game. I don't think USC has got any semblance of defense whatsoever. As Dylan said, with the new clock rules, I think Notre Dame's just going to take the air out of that stadium. Just going to take the air right out. And it's going to be them 12, 14 played 4 yards in a cloud of dust top drives. And I don't think USC's got an answer for it. North Carolina, Miami, after last week, how in the world could you even suit up and feel good about yourself? This week of practice has got to be really weird for all them 5 stars in Miami, right? I mean, they had a weird week of practice because they're hearing the heat. Everybody knows. I mean, that was a coaching call that none of the assistant coaches called. That the OC didn't get. Nobody called it. Victory formation is my favorite play, like you, Coach. That's my favorite play in the world. How in the world could you just take a knee and end it and you decide to run the damn ball? I don't get it. That was just a breakdown on so many levels. I got North Carolina big over Miami. Again, I failed this one, Dalton. He's talking about the Oregon-Washington game. Defense travels, even if it's just a thimble full of defense. It ain't a bucket because you talk about a bucket of defense. Neither one of these teams got a bucket of defense. But I think Oregon's little thimble of defense travels, and I think it's two stops in the red zone, field goals. I think it's close. It's going to be a shootout, but I got Oregon over Washington.
All right, Coach Price, what you got?
Well, Tennessee, first of all, Joe Milton's got a good deep ball. But what does it take to throw the deep ball? It takes time. I don't think Tennessee's offensive line is going to be able to hold up long enough for him to have those tight passes. I think this is a game where if Tennessee is going to come out on top, Josh Heupel has to get a run game, and Milton's going to have to be able to hit the intermediate passes, the ones that really count, your 3rd and 6s, your 3rd and 7s, to be able to move the chains for first downs. I don't think he'll have enough time to throw deep balls, but I'm taking Tennessee in this ball game because, like I said, Jimbo, you recruit to beat Nick Saban, and if you don't beat him, you don't care about the rest of the season. It's proven. All right, game number 2, we got the Tigers versus the Tigers, and the Tigers gonna come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be the LSU Tigers. Is this game played in Auburn, or is it in Baton Rouge?
Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge at night, Coach.
Okay, a night game in Baton Rouge. Okay, well, Death Valley is exactly what it is at night. You're not going to survive there at night. I don't care if LSU is 1-99 and you're going into that stadium at night, they're going to be 2-99 at the end of the year. I can honestly say, hands down, you can take Alabama, you could take Georgia, you could take Auburn, you could take Tennessee. You can put them all out there in the mix. You give them a 3:30 game, you got your hands full. But when it comes to a game up under the stars, LSU is one of the hardest teams to beat, hands down in the SEC. One of the hardest places to play is Death Valley. So give me LSU in that game. Number 3, if Notre Dame could just manage the game and actually know what's going on the field, what they're wanting to do on the field, quit trying to call a play just to turn around and want to think about what player we're going to call next. At some point, Coach, you have to figure out what you can and can't do, and you got to be able to take one play and let it bleed off into 2 or 3 other plays with the same type formations, and you got to get some form of tempo going. You can't try to let a play clock bleed all the way down to 10, break the huddle, expect your quarterback to get to the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden what y'all called is not what he's seeing. You're taking way too much time to get plays in, and it's killing y'all. So if you're going to beat USC, you're going to have to get your game management on a faster scale. So give me Notre Dame in that game, but my mind might change. But you speed up the process, coach, and I promise you, you'll beat them. 4, I'm telling you, man, forget it. Ain't no sunshine in Miami. It's a reason why a hurricane always hits that part of the coast first. Give me UNC all day long. I just don't see it. After last week, you proved to me that no matter what you can put out on the field as product, y'all are going to screw it up with the dumb calls. It really hurts when I go in the locker room to know that I played my heart out. We had a chance to win this ball game. It should have never been that tight to begin with because, like I said, you're playing a bunch of bees with no stingers. But it should have never been that close. You lose the ball game. You lose the ball game in the fashion that you lost it in, and you blamed everybody but yourself. Come on, Shrek. You got to realize, player, sometimes it's you. Donkey tried to tell you over and over, it's you. So give me UNC in this game. I don't think Miami will pull it out. And this Oregon-Washington game, this is the make it or break it for whoever wants to win a Heisman. Whichever one of these fellas go down, you're out of it. And I think Bo Nix, you're going to be out of it. I think Washington is just going to be too strong. I don't think that Oregon's defense is going to be able to do anything with them because I don't look at Oregon having to play as much red zone defense compared to how many big plays they're going to actually give up for touchdowns. You don't have to play red zone defense when we go 65 yards for a score. So I look at Washington being able to come out on top because I think when it does get to, crunch time and Bo Nix trying to drive the ball down the field to go ahead or try to drive the ball down the field to catch up, he's going to do what Bo Nix is always known to do, and that's throw the late interception.
Well, I wasn't expecting that, Coach, to be honest with you there at the end. But Dylan Beck, what you got?
All right, Tennessee and A&M. I'm gonna not pick the same team, but I'm gonna pick up where Coach put it down. In Tennessee's offense, you have to have time to throw that deep ball. And I know Tennessee, everybody looks at them as an explosive, pass first team. They're not. They're a run first team, and then they hit you with explosives after they suck you in. They're not going to be able to run the ball, and they're not going to have time to throw the deep ball against A&M. Now, I am assuming that A&M is going to come out there with a winning mentality. If they do lay down like their coach is known to do, then Tennessee's going to outscore them. I'm saying A&M is going to be up for the game, and they're going to win it. The Battle of the Tigers, Part 2. LSU at night, too much firepower. Their defense will probably make Auburn's quarterback look like a Heisman winner, but I still think they score over 38, 40 and win that game. USC Notre Dame, like I said in the previous statement, Notre Dame, man, they're going to exploit the clock rule, and they're going to run all over them, and they're going to milk the clock and win the game. UNC Miami, I got UNC narrowly winning this game, 420-2. Look, we're all killing Miami on this, and I actually got a poem for Miami. All right.
Oh,
Yeah,
here is Mario. Here it is,
Go
Mario.
ahead,
Miami will win when blind men can see. Mario Cristobal, Drake May's finna make you take a knee. You didn't want to take a knee last week. You're gonna have to this week when you're getting that ass beat. And then Oregon, Washington. I have every time I write out these pick'ems, I underline who I'm gonna pick. I have changed my underline 4 times in the past 5 minutes. I'm gonna stick with who I went with first. I'm gonna go with Oregon. I think Dan Lanning draws up a good enough game plan to prevent Washington from scoring 45. He might keep them at 40, and he can win the game. And then I'm going to throw a 6th game in there. Look, I just got done eating Panda Express, and y'all know it all comes with a little fortune cookie, right? I'm going to throw in a real close contest this week. It's Georgia versus Vandy. I'm gonna make a little mess right here and read what this fortune cookie says. Vandy, you're fucked.
All right. Two. I don't know how you can top that. I don't know if you got any fortune cookies laying around, but tell me what you got.
I'm gonna start. I always like to do mine out of order. North Carolina beats Miami. There's nothing else to say besides Drake May, man. I can't even get excited reading that damn game. So North Carolina wins. Once again, USC Notre Dame. This is honestly the only time I've ever looked at a game and just been like, I'm going to get screwed no matter who I pick. So I'm going to pick USC because I honestly want USC to win, to lose, but I want the satisfaction if they do win. So it's a win-win for me. I don't care if I take that 1L in the pick them if they lose. I'm going with USC, and Caleb Williams got rabbit feet hanging from his nuts, so he's going to get lucky again. We're going to go to LSU Auburn. Look, man, I'm with everybody else, especially what Craig said earlier. If this game wasn't in Baton Rouge, Dalton, I think me and you are the only ones who've been to Death Valley at night. And when I tell you it is Barry's been also, I forgot his daughter went to LSU. At night, against that in a rivalry game is an absolute specimen of a stadium. It is the loudest game I've ever been to in my life. It was a 10-0 game, so it wasn't like it was a blowout. It was Jalen Hurts' freshman year. We beat them 10-0, 3-0, 90% of the game, and then Jalen broke a touchdown. But that place was – hell, I almost got in a fight, and I didn't even talk to the guy. You can ask Dalton. We were up 3 rows away from the guy. He just turns around and goes, hey, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, like we didn't even know the guy. And then one of the Cajuns, he was like, what's your problem? I was like, I don't know, man. I said, but I'm about to go have a talk to him. I said, hey, man, my 12-year-old cousin's right here. I said, you say something else, we're going to have a problem. Well, you chill. I said, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. But I think this game's all about if Auburn can slow Jaden Daniels and that offense down. If you can keep Jaden Daniels and LSU under or at 24 points, I think somehow Auburn can pull it off. But that's easier said than done. I think LSU wins. I think they put up 35 and they win that game. Like I said, Joe Milton is – I'm stealing it, Jared. He's cheats. He's cheats. I don't want to hear nothing about Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe is getting better every week. Joe Milton's in his 76th year in college and been benched 75 times and threw 486 interceptions with a QBR of -6 sitting on ice water. He's ass. The guy's garbage. I don't care if he can throw it 150 yards. Who cares? Jimmy Johnson could do that. And look, what's he doing now? Probably selling ice cream at the local park. Look, A&M wins this game, and it's not close. They win by double digits. Josh Hupel, it's a gimmick offense, and we forgot y'all forgetting one thing, guys. Their number one receiver is done for the year. Brew McCoy ripped his leg off. He's done. So your number one receiver is the kid from Marietta. I can't remember his name. Then we watched him, but he looks like the cinnamon stick from the Apple Jacks commercial. He's easily broken.
Hey, and they got Squirrel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, anyways, like I said, if Tennessee can't run the ball, they lose by more than 10. They lose by 20 if they can't run the ball. If they can run the ball, they still lose by 10. So A&M wins that game. And I think the only one we got left is the Oregon and Washington. I'm just confident in Washington, man. Like I said, Washington got it done at Oregon last year. I just don't see Oregon going into Washington and winning that game because at the end of the day, once Bo Nix said he's got tremendously better from his first year now. But even last year, no matter how good he gets, he always returns to his old ways, and he's going to be blow dicks once again, and they lose. His turnover will cost them the game, and blow dicks will be all over Twitter.
Yeah, before I throw it to Jared, that has to be the most unfortunate hashtag to be associated with your name. And let's be honest, it wouldn't be associated with his name if his name wasn't Bo Nix. My nickname is D-Go, and unfortunately on a bus on the way to high school practice, I was called D-Blow, and all my buddies wants to, throw that at me. So I feel for you, Bo Nix, and I hope the best for you this weekend. And I truly feel for you because I felt the pain. Jared Cole, send us home after this one, okay? Give us what you got. I don't know if you got a poem or a fortune cookie, but you got to have something good.
I do not have a poem nor anything like that. I don't have any dumpster juice. But what I do have is this miniature Oscar that I found in my drawer earlier today. I don't know what it's from or where I got it, but I will use it here. And this is going to go to Mario Cristobal for giving the rest of the ACC to North Carolina because he is Cheeks McGee. Listen, man. Well, I'll start with that game. First of all, it's like Coach Price said. We're forgetting the whole aura about this game. Georgia Tech had a chance to win at the end of the game. What? Huh? Tyler Van Dyke. Somebody was talking about him for the Heisman earlier this year. The guy threw 3 picks this weekend to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Come on, man. Like, no, dude, don't do that. I don't think that UNC runs them out of the building or anything like that. But I do think North Carolina wins this game. And I will hand deliver this to Mario Cristobal for just making the same mistake over and over again. Because they say if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And this is the dumbest prize that I could find. So this is what he gets. I'll throw it up to USC and Notre Dame.
Hey, Jared, not to interrupt you, but let me know when you get to the Oregon-Washington game.
Okay, I will. That'll be my last one. This USC Notre Dame game, I'm with a lot of people, man. I really feel like USC is going to win this game, but I'm not going to freaking pick them. I'm not going to do it again, and I'm going to make sure on my pick them this week. I don't mess it up again. Notre Dame's going to be able to run the football, and I think that will be the difference. And Notre Dame's got some dogs at DB. They really do. They got some dogs, and I think that'll be able to put the pressure on Caleb Williams. And I mean, and this is at Notre Dame, right? If I'm correct.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you're 11 spots away and you're favored. Whatever. Get out of here. Tennessee A&M. I'm with TJ on this. Give me A&M. Tennessee does nothing for me. How they're 19, I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's why preseason rankings matter right there. So you can stay 19 just for that reason right there. Joe Milton's just not the guy, man. I just, if I was them, just throw Nico in the game and let's just see what you got. I mean, just get the guy some reps for next season because that's what you're playing for now. You know, I don't think you ever catch lightning in a bottle there. Now, the most intriguing game to me right now is the LSU-Auburn game because this will be the best DBs that LSU's faced all year. And I will argue about that until I'm blue in the face. These cats are nasty. Auburn's defense is nasty, and they play hard. And so this LSU crowd is not going to affect them. If Auburn could pass the ball with any kind of efficiency, I would pick Auburn hands down in this game. That's the only part that worries me. And Jaden Daniels, I mean, he continues to later in games just throw crazy touchdown passes. They're able to march up and down the field. I don't think they're able to march up and down the field, man, but I don't think Auburn can put up enough points at LSU at night to quite get it done. But, man, watch out for them giving him freaking fits all night, man. The Auburn defense is for real, and they play hard. God, they play so hard. And I'm just glad that we don't have to play them again, to be quite honest. TJ, here we go.
Yeah, before you make your pick, Jared, and I know me and you, we've been on the same page with these Huskies most of the year. I just happened, I gazed a little look over at the picks, and I realized how many drugs our host of the show must have been on with that bold prediction of a 14-point win from Oregon. And now I understand why he's 15 games away from first place. That's all I had to say.
We might need to give Dalton this trophy.
Feel free to cut off their mics whenever you want to, Dalton.
Yeah, we'll call this the Eliza Trophy. But this is a game, and I've been riding Washington, and I'm not going to stop now. I'm really not. They have yet to give me a reason to not do this. I had some worries after the Arizona game, but I mean, look, dude, Arizona's pushing people to the wire. I mean, maybe Arizona's not the team we thought they were. Maybe Arizona's got some dog in them. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Whatever. I agree. Bo Nix, I think, is going to Bo Nix later in this game. And I hate it for Dan Lanning because he is one of my favorite coaches. And they've got a chance in this game. If Oregon does win this game, if they do, which I don't think they will, but if they do, it'll be because of their rushing attack. I think that will be able to level out the offense. And their best defense is going to be their offense, keeping Penix off the field. That's going to be what they have to do. Your time of possession is going to have to be like 38 to some. I mean, it's going to have to be something drastic right here. But I think Michael Penix is going to come out and slang it all day long. He's going to be able to his crowd's going to be behind him the whole time. It's going to be in Seattle. It's probably going to be wet, nasty, muggy. And for some reason, I think they throw the ball better when it's nasty and muggy. However the hell they do that. But I'm going to make my pick for the Georgia-Vandy game, too, just because Dylan made it so appetizing. I don't have a fortune cookie, but that's what I'd say. I'd agree with him. But, man, what a slate. What a slate we have. And shout out to them for making this Oregon-Washington game a 3:30 game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I really appreciate those who are watching. I appreciate you, analysts. This has been the Chop and Block Podcast. This was This Week in College Football. And tomorrow night, led by your host, Beast of Kane, our executive producer, is the NFL show. But the Chop and Block Podcast is sponsored by DJ's Clam Shack. And, I guess I'm going to throw it to Dylan since it seemed like he's my only friend left after those comments from Jared and TJ. But, Dylan, send us home.
What's up, friend? Hey, Dalton, go ahead and drop that shit.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us getting